Breaking news: World War III, U.S. threaten Assad with armed force if he tries to remove troops from. A top Pentagon official has blasted Syrian President Bashar al-Assad by saying any attempt to remove U.S. forces will be met with an armed response as fears of a Third World War heighten. The Syrian president pledged to remove the U.S. military from his country by force if necessary. More than 2,000 U.S. troops are currently in Syria fighting alongside the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, in the northeast as well as in the enclave of At-Tanf in the south along the Jordanian border. But Director of Joint Staff Lieutenant General Kenneth McKenzie said, "Any interested party in Syria should understand that attacking U.S. forces or our coalition partners will be a bad policy." Mr. McKenzie said the U.S. troops and their local militia allies were staying in At-Tanf, dismissing Assad's call for their withdrawal. He added, "We are there. Syria from U.S. forces. The maintenance of that deconfliction zone is important and we would view very gravely any actions that tended to change that. The U.S.'s presence in Syria is not sanctioned under international law." Both President Obama and Trump have argued the U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State in Iraq and Syria is legal under the congressional authorizations to use military force against al-Qaeda dating back to 2001. Mr. Assad said he is committed to pushing U.S. forces out of Syria during an explosive interview with Russian broadcaster RT. He said the U.S. has to learn their lesson and his country are going to resort to liberating the area by force, with the Americans or without the Americans. The Americans should leave somehow. They are going to leave. U.S. President Donald Trump has expressed his plans to pull the U.S. military out of war-torn Syria, but officials have persuaded him to allow them to remain until Islamic State fighters are vanquished along the Syria-Iraq border. President Assad was speaking just over a week after his government declared it was in full control of the suburbs around Damascus for the first time in 7 years. The Syrian army is now preparing for an offensive to take back control of parts of southwest Syria bordering Israel and Jordan that are still under rebel control, one of 3 significant areas outside the government's grip. Israel has warned it will not tolerate having Iranian advisors and the Shiite militias they support move close to its border. The British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which looks over developments in the war, said Iranian advisors and allied Hezbollah fighters are preparing to leave the area. This is apparently under the terms of a deal being negotiated by Russia and Israel for Iranian-backed forces to pull back and prevent a bigger conflict. There has been no confirmation of a deal between Russia, Israel and Iran. However, Mr. Assad declined to say how much longer the war will continue but said he intends to bring all parts of the country back under his control. He said, "We're going to liberate every area. It is impossible for us to leave any area outside of government control."